we might experience less. We might experience lack. We might experience limitation. We might experience strange diagnosis that we can't relate to. We can have those experiences, but they don't touch the inner center. And so when we're talking about wholeness, we're saying we are not our experiences. We are that center of the universe. We are whole. This is it is the deepest layer of our being. And when Jesus asked the man, do you want to be made whole? The invitation is not to actually change anything to be made whole, but to align with the truth of that wholeness. I need a moment. Thank you, Rod, Matt, the goodness of God, expressed so beautifully. And it is right here with us, is it not? I would concur with Tim. Everything seems to have kind of woven together so beautifully this morning. And I thank everybody that has participated in that. You might be aware of the story in John chapter 5. It is a story about the pool in Bethesda, a place where people used to gather, waiting to step into the pool to be healed. As the story goes, an angel would come down and touch the pool, and the first person in the pool would then be completely healed. And Jesus arrives on this scene, and he notices what's going on, and he specifically notices a man that he realizes has been there a very long time. Indeed, he's been there 38 years. That's a long time to sit by the pool and wait, is it not? And Jesus looks at this man and questions him. Do you want to be made whole? And the man says, well, yes, of course I do. But I cannot walk, and I have no one to place me in the pool. And Jesus says to this man, take up your bed or take up your pallet, depending on the translation, and walk. Which the man does. I find this a very curious kind of story. I mean, first of all, don't you kind of wonder what Jesus was thinking? What did he mean when he said, do you want to be made whole? I mean, don't all of us want to be made whole? Don't all of us want to step into that pool and know complete healing? The other question that comes up is around Jesus' second statement. What did he mean when he said, take up your bed and walk? I mean, this is unusual. The other stories of Jesus healing, he would touch someone. He would play in the mud and put mud on people's eyes when they were blind. But he did none of that stuff with this man. He just said, pick up your bed and walk. You might even look at that and go, wow, that seems just a little bit callous, right? Which I'm sure it was not, because ultimately the man did get up and walk. But there's a lot to this story that invites us to consider what it means to be healed, what it means to be whole, to consider for ourselves whether we truly want to be made whole. And the easiest way for me to explore this with you this morning is through my own personal experience with healing. Many of you know that I had a little challenge a few weeks back, a few months back. I had gone to the doctor for just a routine visit, and I was told I had a heart murmur, and a series of tests proceeded from that. And they discovered that I had a heart valve that was leaking quite a bit. And they said, you need to have surgery. And I'm like, what? I need heart surgery? No, I don't think so. You're mistaken. As a matter of fact, I called up my friend Doug and talked to him about this, and he said, what? He said, Cynthia, you're the poster child for heart health. How can this be you? And that's kind of where I was at. But there's a way in which that hanging on, that insistence that it not be so, made me kind of like that man at the well, not being willing to kind of look. And my journey over the next several months as I went through surgery and went through healing and recovery taught me a great deal about healing, about wholeness, and also a tremendous amount about trust and humility. I found myself a couple days before the surgery kind of going, okay, what am I doing here? I've met the surgeon once, very nice man. He's very confident in what he does, but I don't know this person. I've never met the anesthesiologist. I don't know the medical team, and I am placing myself in their care, their hands. Lots of humility, lots of trust in something that I couldn't control in any way. I get to the hospital, and somehow in all the in all the conversations and the pre-op visits, I missed the fact that they were going to put me on a heart-lung bypass. And I'm like, you are? You're going to stop my heart? Trust. Trust. Humility. And I was cared for so incredibly well. The surgeon did a great job. The nursing staff was amazing. I kind of thought this would be a lot easier than it was. I realized before I got home from the hospital, which I said I'm going to be there about 2 days, I was there 6, that this healing journey was going to be a little bit more intense than I thought. But I also realized as I got home that the doctor and the nursing staff and everybody that cared for me was dealing with the physical part. The healing was very much in my hands, but in a very different way. Once again, an opportunity to trust and to be humble. Y'all know that I'm a dancer. I like to move. It was humbling to get home from the hospital and find that I couldn't walk up to the corner and back without stopping. I hadn't planned on that. You know, they stop your heart, they put you on a heart-lung bypass. It takes a little while to recover. And so my journey with that healing was to take good care of myself, to spend lots of time resting in the presence, and trusting the process. I could do lots of things to take good care of myself, and I did. But ultimately, the healing was something that I just supported. The body healed itself. And I participated in it. But underneath that, we get to this idea of wholeness. that is spoken of in John. Do you want to be made whole? What does that mean? Ultimately, I believe that it means trusting on the deepest level, being humble enough to recognize there is so much more than my little self. In spiritual economics, Eric Butterworth speaks of wholeness, and he talks about Jesus speaking about overcoming the world, saying when Jesus said, "I have overcome the world," he meant that he kept himself centered in the inner realm of wholeness. He kept himself centered in the inner realm of wholeness. He knew that he might experience less, but he could never be less than the dynamic center in a whole universe. We might experience less. We might experience lack. We might experience limitation. We might experience strange diagnosis that we can't relate to. We can have those experiences, but they don't touch the inner center. And so when we're talking about wholeness, we're saying we are not our experiences. We are that center of the universe. We are whole. This is our most deepest layer of our being. And when Jesus asked the man, "Do you want to be made whole?" the invitation is not to actually change anything to be made whole, but to align with the truth of that wholeness. Thomas Merton says, "There is in all things a hidden wholeness. There is in all things an inexhaustible sweetness and purity, a silence that is the foundation of action and joy. It rises up in gentleness and flows out to me from the unseen roots of all created being, a hidden wholeness that rises up from the very root of our existence." This is our ultimate reality. And if we're choosing to be made whole, if we're choosing to stand up and walk, we must choose this first. Whatever we're experiencing is not who we are. What we are experiencing is a step along life's journey, inviting us to stand in the wholeness that we are and to be the space of wholeness for the world around us. So if we're to embrace wholeness, there are a couple of things we need to remember: humility and trust. It is not just my little ego and my little self that I'm talking about. I want to open up and be humble and trust the dance of the universe moving through me. We want to center ourselves in that space of wholeness, because whatever our experience, this is who we are. We are in an inexhaustible sweetness and purity. And when we go there, the joy rises up in us. So we want to define ourselves in that way, rather than getting stuck in the turmoil that can arise in this physical play. And finally, we want to see the wholeness all around us. if I am whole, just as I am, if this is my true reality, it is true for each and every one of us. And so when I look into the eyes of another person, am I willing to see them with the eyes that Jesus saw them? And to recognize their wholeness, to see the incredible beauty that they are, to know that whatever our missteps, and we all have them, each one of us has the capacity to be kind. Each one of us has the capacity to be loving. Each one of us has the capacity to be generous. And each of us is a co-creator with the universe in this life. And you see, if we can hold that wholeness for one another, we begin to unite together as a sacred whole, both as this spiritual community that is Unity Life Center. That was my first ministry. Unity Church of the Hills. But also the greater whole that is the universe. So this is my invitation to you, to know that you are whole, to know that you are precious, and to pick up your bed and walk. God bless.
Learn to meditate with Dr. Dan Stasek in room 203 on Tuesday evening at 7. Learn all about iPhone photography and digital media with Joni Lorraine in our monthly adulting class this Friday evening at 6 p.m. in Legacy Suite. Welcome in the season with Spirit by joining Anaya in Friendship Hall on Saturday at 5 for Releasing into Autumn, a journey of nourishing release. Finally, wear your Halloween costume to church on Sunday, October 27th, and then come back at 5 for the UCOH 2024 Fall Festival Trunk or Treat and Hayride, and other festivities. Register online to provide a trunk or treat or to volunteer. Thank you.
I encourage you to attend the upcoming Path to Discovery class. It starts next week. The focus next week is going to be Unity's 5 basic principles. And whether you've been coming for a long time or you're new, this is an opportunity to really dig in and understand those principles at depth. This is a required class for anybody that wants to be a member, but it is so valuable to have long-term people share in that discussion. So please consider attending next week and the following 2 weeks.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful. Thank you.